I think I'm going to call it calapathy, right? Because what we've noticed is we've been at several cities by now, but we noticed some cities we think, there's nobody going to show up, right? And there's a couple hundred people in the room just absolutely packed to the gills. As soon as we got to California, it's a very interesting, and we all know that Californians have kind of been like this forever. You know, I'm not singling anybody out, but there's always been a kind of an air of apathy in California where, great example is we get hundreds of people to go to the website, 20% will show up when we're here in California. So it's right when we crossed into California, we notice it, every city. It's like, spontaneously, oh, great idea, let's go to the Unity tour, right? A week or two later, oh, well, you know, the Chargers and the Rams are playing, Raiders are playing, and blah, 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 blah. What people don't realize when that's their focus, that stuff won't exist a few years from now if we don't do our job right now. That stuff's gone. It's completely toast. And the challenge is, and here's what we know, is I'm going to give you, have you ever heard some foolish guy named Gavin Newsom, some crazy new scum, right? Okay, so I'm going to go there. Who thinks that's the original Gavin Newsom? Raise your hand. Okay, so the question is, by the way, there's tens of thousands of people watching online, so we're still doing good, right? So that's awesome. Yep. Not live, by the way, probably only a few hundred at a time, but they matriculate over the night. It's so funny, we always see it, you know, so they come in later. But anyways, what's interesting though is everybody unilaterally in this room is saying that's not Gavin Newsom 1.0, right? Okay, so now we have to start asking the hard, crazy questions. Who's running Gavin Newsom? Yeah. Right. So we want to say it's the white hats, okay? Or we want to say, like you said, BlackRock in China, right? So on and so forth. It's tough, right? And if we're going to be honest, unlike so many truthers out there, we don't frickin' know, right? Do we really know? No. Now, I would say, though, based on what I'm looking with Knee Pad Harris and Tampon Tim and Joker Joe, right, that it seems like the good guys are running them. Yes. And here's why. Because no matter what we think about Democrats, right, let's be honest, right, they have always found a way to put up a candidate that can really articulate the message, and they have passion, and they draw people in, right? You don't see that with Joke and Joe, right? You don't see that with Knee Pad Harris, and you don't see that with Tampon Tim. So why on earth would the Democrats, if they're actually being run by the deep state, this is a little hopium for you, why would they do that? I don't think they would. It doesn't make any sense, right? It's just nonsensical. No matter if you hate or love Barack Obama, the dude... Say it again. No matter whether you love or hate Barack Obama... Okay, it didn't work. I thought the demon went... So regardless of what anybody's thoughts are out there, the dude could speak and articulate a message. Okay? Same with Bill Clinton. He can articulate a message, right? Even Screaming Hillary could articulate a message, right? Like that. So anyways, the point is they've always had candidates that can articulate a message, right? And now they have two in a row that cannot articulate. So that tells me that part is part of the so-called white hat operation. But for all of those that believe we're just supposed to be eating our popcorn and wearing our little froggy mask, right? Let's have a little reality check. So there's a few people here that have Q shirts on. Okay. We were manipulated with Q to think that trust your plan meant sit on your couch. At first, right? But now we know 100% it's exactly the opposite. If you really, that's a military operation, boy. If any doesn't believe Q still, I get it. Really reading it to the perspective of it's a military operation. And when you read into it, that's a military operation and it's a PSYOP, On both sides, by the way, they're trying to confuse the enemy, which by turn confuses us. That's not the intention, but it's the result. Can we all agree with that? So it's a lot different than our perspective at the beginning was. Trust the plan from the beginning, if you really read it, has always been we the people. We're handing it back to we the people. I'm going to say it like I always say it every day. January 20th, 2017, Inauguration Day. President Trump had military intelligence behind him, and he said, we are giving it to we the people. We're giving it to the people. So if we're giving the power back to the people, why are we still sitting on our ass in Sacramento, in California? I call it Caliapathy, right? And it's not just, it's a beautiful day out, so let's go hang out, because this year has been kind of weird in a good way. It's back to kind of normal weather. Have you noticed that? Yeah. Right? And then a little hot, but back to normal weather. But the last 2 years have been what? Rainstorm cities, right? So the question is, was that weather manipulation then? Or maybe it's always supposed to be like that, and this is weather manipulation now. Nobody knows this stuff. We can speculate on it, but when we pretend to know, I think we hurt ourselves. We should just have an open mind. But what happens in California, I believe what's really happened, guys, and I'm from California, so I can say this. I think we've been beaten down so far that many, many people just said, I give up, right? Another bill comes through where it's like, oh, look. You go into illegal, goes into a DMV, and they're automatically registered. You know, all these things happen in California.
They were doing that. I was in line. I saw it happen.
It's absolutely, absolutely.
Like Obama
So,
said, he said if you flood town square with enough raw sewage, people know what to do.
that's exactly right. So here's the key, and I think this is the type of stuff we need to remember. We need to look at the losses and strengthen our resolve instead of getting weaker, right? But I think a lot of this is crazy optics. But that doesn't mean we don't fight. That means we fight harder, because if you think you're going to be on the winning team, push a little bit farther, because we the people control the timeline. There's no doubt about that at all. Let's just assume there's some hold white hat. I call them gray hats because they frustrate the hell out of me, right? So, and they lie to us, right? The so-called white hats lie to us all the time because that's part of what they have to do. So, exactly. So the gray hats are doing their job. Not enough, not fast enough for anybody in this room, I would contend. Would you agree with that? We all want it to go faster, right? So, but are we doing our job? Because I believe we're going to have to meet them in the middle, so we the people control the timeline. I'm going to tell you something I think that happened in California that may be an indication that there's other things going on that may be positive. California is the only state that has passed a comprehensive law against chemicals in the food. Why would that happen under Gavin Newsom? It's very interesting, right? Just recently. Was it a month ago? Three?
They said we were the furthest ahead of all the states.
That's right. So people should look at little things. Now, the reason why that's not widely publicized, because that would be counterintuitive to the message that they need people to press, because the mainstream media still is run by the baddies, in my opinion. So they're not going to publicize that, but that's a real law that got passed. How on earth would that get passed when one of the best ways that they suppress the people is by, and get them on big pharma, is by poisoning our food? In the water. Well, water's a whole nother level, but there's some indication. Well, one thing, I would tell you that fluoride is not the worst thing in the water because everybody talks about it. So when it's mainstream, gets in the mainstream, it means they let it out, it means something else is happening. And that's deuterium, which you guys can talk to me separately or go see my documentary on deuterium. It'll blow your mind. So what the purpose of this part of the conversation is, I think we need to realize that two things can happen at one time. And when we say it's all this or all this, we're working in the Freemasonic division, and that's where they want us, right? They want us to say it's all just a movie, or it's all just negative, right? patriots fighting against each other. No, it's both, right? And I know firsthand because I got a call just 2 weeks ago about there's a Navy SEAL contingent off the coast of a western state. I can't say where exactly. Off the coast of a western state. Okay, those are Navy SEALs that did that. So there's Navy SEALs.
So California is really still quite cabal.
Well, elements, yes. So here's what happened. So that's a true story that saved it. But there's a negative side to that story also. They didn't have enough room to house. They didn't have enough room to house the kids, right? So they put them into an area where a church was housing them. Within 24 hours, the CPS snatched every single one of them up. This is why I'm trying to say, this is a real war that's going on, right? So there's a lot of people out here that say, oh, nothing's, a lot of the patriots, the Hopian patriots, will tell you nothing's going on at the border. Well, okay, get your ass to the border. I went down there. There's 212 people that I counted were at the border, crossing, interviewed a whole bunch of them, real people. Not very many women there and children. Now, why do you think there weren't very many women and children that, by the way, they're so confident now, they cross the border and they sit there and they just wait for Border Patrol to pick them up. Did you know that? They literally camp out there. They got food, water, blankets, and everything. So why do you think there wasn't a bunch of women and children sitting at the border? It was 95% men. Anybody have an idea?
Because they can fight.
Because they can fight. Okay, anybody else?
They already took them. Yeah.
They are. Okay.
I remember somebody telling us that they were helping our military.
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah, this is not true. It's just not true. That's crazy talk. I interviewed them. They're not helping our military. These are, I mean, the ones that I interviewed, 80% were from Guatemala, right? And we asked them a bunch of questions. We had somebody speak Spanish and so on and so forth. There was a good story, I'll tell you, or sad and interesting story. Here's the reason why you're not seeing a bunch of women and children crossing the border. These are called high-valued prospects. They're going under the border. They don't go over the border. And that should get everybody really bad chills, because that's what's really going on there. And when you hear there's 300,000 kids that are unaccounted for, that's who went through processing. The high value targets go under the border. That's the purpose of what it really was. Again, we know our enemy, we defeat our enemy. Now, I truly, truly believe we're winning this war. I really do. I mean, the fact that a few years ago, if somebody put out a ridiculous message from the mainstream media or a politician, it would take weeks to diffuse that message. We do it within minutes now on social media. Now they keep taking our social media down. What do? How many Facebook accounts have you?
I'm on my third one.
Okay, and our buddy's like on his 18th one right now, and Scott's.
Eight YouTube channels, yeah,
Scott's on like
37, 38 YouTube channels.
Right.
Taken down.
You just have to keep going at them, keep going at them. So we're absolutely winning this war. But here's the challenge that we have. The biggest challenge that we have is motivating our friends and family to step up, right? So how do we motivate them to step up if they're not awake? Right? It's tough, right? And somebody in there talked about me about this. I don't know if it was you, Sandy. I'm not going to blame it on you. We'll see who it is. Somebody in here, we were talking in the back room, and this is the biggest problem I see when we're trying to wake people up, okay? We talk to somebody and go, can you believe that all of Hollywood uses adrenochrome? That's the first statement out of our mouth. How do you think that's really going to, they're like, what's adrenochrome? Oh, well, they do this to kids and they scare them, and then they're taking and they're injecting through their adrenals and they're pulling it all out, and they get really pretty faces for a long time with all this energy and this life extension. We truth barf all over them, right? We've all been guilty of that at one time.
So we do like Trump parades, Trump rallies, overpasses. And Sandy up here, we had a newcomer come, and she's talking about adrenochrome, and I said,
Exactly. So this is exactly what I'm talking about. So what we call that is truth barfing. Okay? So many of us at one time have truth barfed on somebody, right? Now, my lovely wife can get away with it because she's like the best hairdresser ever. She locks them in her chair and she just goes at them, right? They can't get out. They're like, they're shaking, they're trembling, they're sweating, right? But they can't go anywhere because you're like, you want a half a haircut or you want a whole haircut, right? Let's just dye one side of your head. Oh, I'm in trouble now. It's hair color. Sorry, sweetheart. She doesn't dye any hair. I color hair. So anyways, we can't truth barf, right? So I like to find little ways to wake people up because here's the thing. Let's think about this really quick. How did the baddies, whatever you want to call them, the Luciferian asshats, as my brother in arms would call them, how did the Luciferian asshats get us to where we are? Frog in the pot. We are the frog in the pot. We, the people, are frog in the pot. So they slowly turned up the heat until they got us to where they want. Okay. I've been saying this for years. We need to use techniques against the baddies. So we have to acclimate people to the truth. You need to speak to them where they are, not where you want them to be. It takes a lot of patience to do this. But you plant that seed and you let them come back. If you ever watch body language, one of my favorite things is watching people's body language. And you're talking to them and you see their eyes start to just flutter and roll back in their head a little bit, or their body changes away from you like this, and they're looking all over the place. Frickin' stop! Right? That's not, well, go faster. That means pull back, and then you just stop the conversation, and you're like, cool. So, anytime you want to learn something in the future, just come talk to me. They'll come back to you. Wait, you guys sound like a bunch of conspiracy theorists to me. You actually believe the Saudis didn't take down towers with 2 planes? They didn't take down Tower 7 without even hitting it with a plane? Oh, I don't know. I feel very uncomfortable with this conversation right now. So here's the way I like to wake people up. Bruce is like, he's going. Bruce took off in the back room. I'm going to get some rest. Need a pillow? So anyway, so here, to give you an idea, here's something I like to use, and it seems to be very, very effective. Everybody will talk about the 9/11 conversation, right? No matter where their headspace is, they'll talk about the conversation. So it's how you address the conversation. So I believe you have 2 choices. You can say, George Bush took down the 3 towers and personally pushed out $600 billion of gold that was underneath, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. The Israelis were involved, and they blew up everything, boom, boom, boom. You could tell that, right? If you like. Not quite sure that would work, but you can give it a shot. Truth barf, right? Or maybe, just maybe, you say something like this. Get in a very relaxed position and say something like this. Did you know Tower 7 also fell on 9/11? You'd be shocked how many people don't even know that. They go, really? And great, even better. If so, go look it up, right? You stop there. If they knew Tower 7 fell, say, you knew Tower 7 fell? Yeah, I heard about that. Okay. Did you know a plane never hit Tower 7? Did you know in the history of a world, planes have never hit steel buildings and they've fallen in their footprint ever? Yet 3 fell on the same day? That seems weird, right? Why do you ask questions? Because in their mind, they have to answer truthfully to themselves. They may not give you the win and answer truthfully to you, but to themselves they do. So if you say, doesn't it sound weird? Isn't it weird that 3 towers all fell the same day? And in history, no steel building has ever fell, especially in their footprint, by planes? In their mind, they're going to go, yeah, that is weird. That's step 1. Step 2, did you know that Tower 7 was burning for over 8 hours before it fell? Why would that be? Did you know that Tower 7 was over football field away from the closest tower that fell. They're like, whoa. Did you know there was a building between Tower 7 and the closest building that fell? You see how we're building? We're acclimating them to the truth. You have to be very slow and patient on this. And you know one of the weirdest things of all? You already know that a plane never hit Tower 7, so that's kind of weird, right? Why did the firefighters never do anything? That's weird, right? And most of all, this is the confusing part, and you just act dumb, which I can never figure out. Why would a British news agency tell you the tower fell? It's shown in the background 20 minutes before it actually fell. You just woke somebody up. Now, guess what? What other conversations can follow that conversation? Now, guess what I would do? They're going to want more information. You know what you do? Nope, don't give them anything. Leave them waiting. This is the patience part of this. We have to play the long game. We don't want to play the long game, especially if you're awake. You're like, just get it done. I know too much, right? But we have to play the long game because the long game is what's going to wake these people up. If we give them too much too fast, it's overwhelming. You have to think about maybe where you were at one time where you knew none of this, right? Giving too much too fast is really overwhelming for people. So let them find it on their own, because when they learn it on their own and it's not you or me telling them, it sticks. And we do know one thing: once awake, always awake. See, he agrees. So once awake, always awake. I know it's tough, guys. I would just recommend that we be as patient as possible with this. So in California, interesting enough, who thinks California is a deep state cabal state, right? Run by Luciferian asshats, right? It is. It clearly is, right? I call California a communist country within a communist construct, is what I call it. And it is. So do you remember what's that guy's name again? Newscomb? Yeah. Do you remember something called a recall election? Yeah. Interesting, huh? Yeah. And did you know the first amount of information that came out on the recall showed that he won 66.6%? Did anybody ever see that? Who believes that's just a coincidence? No, they're telling it. They're like, hey, we're spell casting. Ha ha ha, we got you, right? So my wife and I polled 26 people. We didn't know if they're Democrat or conservatives before the election. Or 26 before the recall, I should say. 26 out of 26 said we're recalling that guy. There were Democrats in there. There were Republicans in there. There are independents. There are people that have never even been to an election before. They're saying, we're getting rid of this guy. We saw when they were trying to get the 2 million signatures or whatever it was, is the corporate bullshit law that we're living under now. Lawfully is where it's supposed to be a natural law. Some people say common law. There's a debate right now. There's a difference. But regardless, so you have corporate law and common law. Okay? Why would we have to do legally and lawfully? In my opinion, and I know I was the first one out there to say this, but people are starting to come on board. And my interpretation of what President Trump is saying is you need to have one foot in the bad system and 1 foot out in order to transition people into our constitutional republic. So when we go full force common law, and I've had this discussion with some of the top common law people, they're now coming around going, okay, Lewis, I see what you're talking about. And this is not me ego speaking, I'm just telling you conversations I'm having. And they're like, okay, I get what you're saying. Because when we go full force common law, right? Great. So I got a grand jury. I indicted so-and-so. Waiting, right? Okay, great. You gonna go pick them up? Oh, well, we can't really pick them up. Okay, so it's just talk. But what happens if we can use the wonderful affidavits and writs that our common law brethren know how to write, and you infuse those in a real lawsuit, you parallel it at the same time with an affidavit or a writ, right? What you're doing is you're transitioning, you're speaking common law here. We can start pulling people this way. Plus, what we really have to do is, if we're seriously going to go the common law route, we need to build a jail. We need to house it with deputies, right? And we need to arrest somebody under the grand jury indictment, put him in there and see what happens. If we really, really want to win this, we have to have test cases all over the case. There is some help, though, I believe. Familiar with the Chevron deference? Do you want to talk about something before I transition there?
Yeah, I want to ask about the common law. What about New California state?
Yes, and I'm not too familiar with that. Here's why. I don't know if you know this. There's several groups that were trying to create New California, right? Who's the one in charge of this? See if it's the guy I know.
Paul Preston.
Okay, yeah, I know Paul. Paul spoke at a couple of my truth tours before. I think Paul is the one guy that may have figured it out. So, yeah. The challenge is everything that is created outside the corporate structure, has to be tested. Does that make sense? It's all just a good idea until we test it, right? We have to test it. So I'm going to transition into the Chevron deference decision through the Supreme Court. Is anybody familiar with the SCOTUS decision? What they Chevron deference 1984, I believe, right? They reversed it. They said that that's unconstitutional. You can't do that. I'm going to explain what that means. I just want to know by hand how many people have heard of that decision in SCOTUS. Okay, good. I believe personally that's the biggest decision that we've had coming out of SCOTUS, and it's bigger than Roe versus Wade rejection, by the way, because that just sent it back to the states, right? The reason why the Chevron deference decision rejecting it is so huge, that's the deep state stronghold financially and accountability that they needed that is gone. So what that means is before with the Chevron deference, and if I'll kind of go backwards a little bit, the reason, quote unquote, that they said they did it is because they needed to streamline some things. Therefore, they gave power, instead of constitutional power, right, going through the House, the Senate, and the President, what they did is they pulled that away and they gave the ability to bureaucrats, non-elected officials, and NGOs, non-government organizations, they gave the ability to them to make the rules, enforce the rules, and fine you, which is a tax, by the way. Let's just be very clear about that, right? You can't make a tax unless it goes through the constitutional process, but that's still a tax, right? So they call them fees. Okay, they're fees, right? They're taxes. They just lie. What happens is reversing that decision literally pulls the carpet from the deep state. They can no longer a bureaucrat cannot make a decision for us. They cannot impose any fees. They cannot write any rules or laws. Here's the challenge. We need to test it. How do we do that? You see a bureaucrat, an NGO, or somebody in office, an unelected official, try to impose a fine or a rule on top of you. This is where we, the people in this room and watching, we need to stand up and we need to challenge it. We need, like DMV, Department of Motor Vehicles, right? So we need to challenge it immediately. We need to take it immediately to court. Lose. You want to lose. Trust me. You want to lose. Have it go to a local appeals court. You're hoping for a loss. I know it sounds crazy. Boom, boom, boom. Because it needs to get up to SCOTUS again. And they'll use this as an example. Yes, this is exactly what we're talking about. No, they win. You cannot do this. As soon as that is done, the whole system falls. But let me ask you a question. Who can do that? We the people. You see my point? This is why it's so important that we get involved. We can make a difference. President Trump can't do that. You don't want President Trump to do that. You can't have President Trump do that. You can't have any politician do that, because immediately what happens? It's division. The other side says, oh, it's totally political. Can't do it. You have to have somebody that appears to be unbiased, that's affected by this rule, whatever that rule or tax or fee is or weird little thing, and they have to challenge it.
Does it have to be a class action?
Nope, doesn't have to be. Be one person. In fact, it wasn't a class action that got the Chevron deference turned over. It was a fisherman that was being fined.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So no, you do not. And that's the beautiful thing. If the system is run properly, and it appears that the SCOTUS is starting to lean in the right direction, and there are federal judges that are leaning in the right direction, eventually we're going to get rid of judge shopping, and when we get rid of everything's a fair, level playing field, it would be a lot better, right? But right now, it's up to we the people to just go after all this stuff and get it to flood, because as soon as it does, it's called precedence. Why is precedence so important? And people get upset when I say this, but I have really a bad case of the I don't give a shits. I'm just going to tell you, it doesn't matter anymore. We have a country to take back, so I'm not trying to make any friends, right? But precedence, and if you notice, does everybody understand what precedence is with the judicial system? They make reference to another case, so it's like, I'm clean, right? Because they're cowards. So they're like, well, it's right there, so hands off, right? That's good news for us, though, because we can really use it to our advantage. These are the tools that have been used to the advantage of the cabal forever, so we can do this. So there's a lot of real hope, not hopium out there. There's a lot of real hope, a lot of good things happening. But this is the long game, folks. Honestly, I'm not fighting for myself or even my own family right now. I'm fighting for generations to come, right? And all the kids, like Bruce articulated, that are being affected now into the future. So I've had these discussions with police officers before, and I had a discussion with two in, I don't know what it's on the way to Arizona. There's some Indian reservation. Anyways, two cops were at a place, and I was getting something, a soda to drink, healthy soda, of course. I would never drink anything else. So I was getting a soda to drink because I was parched, and they were there, and I had my Remember Your Oath shirt on where it says, we hold sheriffs accountable and support them. But I intentionally, which is fun. So here's the drink machine here. They're sitting right there, right? So instead of me getting my drink like this, I was getting my drink like this, right? And I go, oh, you saw my shirt. And I had a conversation with them. And it came down to it, is we have to understand they work for us, right? So I said to him, I go, oh, you saw my shirt. One guy said, yeah, that's interesting. What's that about? I go, let me tell you. So I told him what it's about, so on and so forth, which I thought was, a good conversation. I could tell this guy over here was checking out, where he wasn't interested in the conversation. This guy was very engaged in the conversation. So what I do in cases like that, which is kind of I used to do this in sales, because I used to be in sales a lot and train salespeople. So what I've done is you talk to the person that's engaged, and then they're still listening, right? So what you've done is when you give them attention when they're disengaged, it empowers them. Because they go like this, and they're really showing you. But when you ignore them, they're like, well, why is he not talking to me? It works, right? So I'm talking to this guy that's engaged, and we're talking a lot. And I said, I'll get down to the crux of it, because it was a pretty long conversation. And I go, my friend, I said, do you believe in these certain principles? Yes, 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 right? Why haven't you done anything about it? I already knew the answer, because I'll lose my pension. So I asked him, so we went through it, and I said, when does it become, I go, okay, so what would make you feel empowered to do that? He goes, if I can get 9 or 10 of my buddies that believe the same way. I go, hold on a second. Are you telling me 9 or 10 of your buddies do believe the same way? He says, yes, absolutely. I go, interesting. So you kind of think there's a deep state cabal running thing, and illegal immigration is crap, and so Morongo, is that the one that's on the way to Arizona? Nobody knows. That's good. So anyways, whatever that reservation was, right? So I asked him these questions, and he was buying into everything. And I said, but you still won't stand up and do anything because of your pension. So I asked him a question. I said, so my friend, let me ask you, and I got his name. I forgot what it was. It was a while ago, about 8 months ago. And I said, here's the deal. Will you even have a pension if we continue to go the same route we're going now? He said, probably not. So you do know that they're going to be attacking your pension. And he said, yeah, most likely. I go, okay, let me ask you another question. I go, if you take care of your family, financially support them, which you want to do, without any risk, I can admire that, and I understand it. But the only legacy you left them is maybe a paycheck. I said, what's your legacy if you're the one guy that had the balls to stand up in the face of adversity? What legacy would you have had? Generationally, your family's going to be talking about great-great-great-great-grandpa. You know what he did? I said, that's power. I said, thank you very much. Have a good day. This guy was like, right? But I started noticing his body language. He went from this to this, right? So, thank you. I told him, I'm a wanderer, by the way, when I talk. And I said, just let's do fixed camera today. And I said, point me this way if I get off the screen. So anyways, these are principles that we have to be able to infuse, and we have to have the confidence to do it. And don't worry about articulating like me, because my favorite saying, I'll probably write a book like this because I've done this for several years. It's called Failing Forward. I'm really good at failing, really good. But I just don't care. I have no ego attached to failing whatsoever. It's just another lesson learned. Let's move forward, right? Does that make sense? Yeah. So we have to have the confidence to try. Don't worry about having the right words. And please do not overanalyze any of this stuff. Analysis does breed paralysis. And it really comes down to the more we analyze, the more we're giving an excuse to not perform. Fail forward. Talk to an officer and say, hey, we need to hold you accountable. You need to do this, this, and this. F up all the words, it doesn't matter, right? I did F up for you. So F up all the words, it really doesn't matter. You just got to try. But the more that we can go, it's going to be very exciting for us. And we are turning the tides. It may not, and I'm going to tell you we're the last people. Who do you think is the last people going to tell you you're right? Anybody? Your family and friends. Yeah. Because even if they're coming around, you're the last person to know, because their pride won't let you know that, oh man, Mary was right, right? They're not going to. So we have to understand that the last people, so please don't expect your family and friends to come along. Don't expect it, right? Just keep working, planting the seeds, and so on and so forth. And when they do come along, I know it's going to be hard. Try to eliminate "I told you so" from your vocabulary. Right? Yep. Or "I tried to tell you." Because what happens is they just shut off. Because there's one thing I learned a long, long time ago, and this was in marketing, right? Something I learned a long time ago is somebody don't know, they inherently respect you, right? But they don't love and trust you. Somebody you do know doesn't respect you at all, but they love and trust you. Now, why would I say that? Because they know, ladies, that you will fart in front of them, right? I know. I've heard about it. I've never seen it or smelled it, but I've heard about it. But the reality, ladies and gentlemen, you will do things in front of your friends and your family. Maybe it's cussing, acting weird, whatever it is, right? And they're like, right? So they lack that respect. So it's really easy for them to tell you, no, forget it. You're crazy. You're this. You're that, right? They would never say that to a stranger.
We really appreciate you guys.
Absolutely. And you know what's amazing? Thank you. I appreciate it. Is look at how many people they drove to a rally or to a ride or everything that you're doing, guys. This is hope, right? The fact that two people started and can organize this and get it going that much, it's freaking amazing. Feel free to have everybody just convoy with us for the rest of the country. We've only got 35 or 34 cities left.
So there were 30 groups that helped us organize that, and I think God actually, with everything we're doing, He's, we just want him to work through us, whatever we can do to help.
We have the same divine belief right here, so thank you. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you to your wife that didn't want to speak. Thank you. I remember your nickname's the Beast, by the way.
Bald Eagle.
And Bald Eagle and the Beast. Awesome, guys.
We're working with, so Kim Yater that does the Take Our Border Back.
Who's that?
Her name's Kim.
I'm joking.
No, you probably know.
Kim and I know each other very well. In fact, Kim and I are doing, or should say us, with the Unity Tour. We planned an event in Yorktown on September 29th. Right. Hers is September 28th. We were going to do a follow-up event September 29th in Yorktown, and we decided, she called me, she's go, Lewis, it's on my heart. God put it on my heart. We got to do this. And I said, okay, we'll move it. So now we're partnering with Restore the Republic, Kim and Take Your Border Back and all those people, and Screw Big Gov and the Unity Tour. We're all going to be there in Washington, D.C. because we're about unity. So it's not about us. Although I told her, I said, you're going to have to give me 3 10-minute spots on your channel. It was a joke between her and I. She was laughing really hard. Anyways, that's an inside joke. But we know Kim really well, and she supports us, and we support Take Your Border Back. I spoke in Yuma. I was at the San Diego event, or actually whatever, San Ysidro, I believe it was. They're doing great work. Yeah, very, very important. So we all have to galvanize together. The group doesn't matter. The country matters, right? So in fact, I was just checking out meetup.com in the back room, like I promised some people here I would do. And you're right, unfortunately, in Sacramento, there's not much going on there. And they have a lot going on. This is for my buddy Andrew. I got it, Andrew, in the back. Let's put this back all the way. I guess online we're totally blacked out. Is that better?
That's better.
How about this? Are we better now? Cool. So anyways, on meetup.com, there are some conservative groups. There's not that many, but believe it or not, you know where all of them are? It's going to blow you away. The Bay Area. A ton of them in the Bay Area. Like thousands of people in the Bay Area. Why do you think that would be? Yep. So what happens is we've noticed this point. We're apathetic, and then we're like, ah. But nobody takes that step, right? And then when we just get completely crushed, then they get involved, which is very, very interesting. So in the Bay Area, I just put within 100 miles, and suddenly, I mean, their group has 600, 1,000, 300. They just got tons of them there. So what you could do, though, is you could maybe partner with them and say, hey, I'm looking to start up a Sacramento group. Can you help me? That would be the strategy I would look at doing right now. And I'm sure they would like a sister group here or there. So find one that you resonate with, right? And that's one way that you can do it. So that is an avenue. Somebody had a question?
I also wanted to share that San Francisco, what we think is such a shithole, right?
Well, no, it is a shithole.
It is. But out of all these really so dark comes the light.
Absolutely.
And,
Yeah.
I know that people, they're trying to work on taking the ex-Twitter buildings, which Elon Musk left. They're working to take that to help the homeless and healing.
Excellent.
There are a lot of
So I have to repeat that. Andrew, make sure we got the mic on people in the future, if you could. So what she said is, she goes, even though San Francisco is a shithole, Elon left a Twitter building, and now people are trying to take that to help the homeless and healing. That's awesome, right? Because ultimately, we the people always come together to do the right thing. The challenge is the deep state wants us busy. So I call us the Rockefeller realm. This country is the Rockefeller realm. And what that means, if anybody is not aware of that, Rockefeller really created our current education system. Rockefeller created our current business construct, and Rockefeller created our medical system, right? That's why I call it the Rockefeller realm. So we're living under the Rockefeller edict. And what is that? How do you create indentured servants? You convince them that you need to be in a 9-to-5 job, and we are going to grace you with a weekend to yourself. Oh, but we're going to make sure we don't pay you enough, so you have to actually work an extra job or get extra hours and not have any time for your family. If you do have a family, they darn well better be in soccer, football, baseball, and gymnastics. See what it does? So it keeps us so busy that we have no time to notice that they're taking it away, taking it away, taking it away, taking it away. Yeah, you have to be happy in your 15-minute cities. And then what do? Then they're going to actually, do you need to change my mic or something?
No, we have a question.
No, I understand. I'll be right there. I definitely won't forget her. So anyways, so what happens is within this construct, right, they keep us busy. But then what else do? They indoctrinate us because I don't want to offend any teachers, but our education system in this country is built to breed workers. That's what it's for, what our education system is set up to be. I can tell you that we do math incorrectly. We never should be reading from left to right. We never should be memorizing anything. We should be able to go like that, and it doesn't have to be recall. Like the fastest way to get 9 times 9 is not 81 because I memorized it. You shouldn't have to do that. You shouldn't have to fill your brain with that. You should go 9 times 10 is 90 minus 9 is 81. The fastest way to multiplication is through subtraction. People just don't know that, right? Because we're not taught that. This is why I failed math classes, because I refused to do the work.
And you got to show the work.
And you have to show the work. Isn't it interesting? So you have to prove to them you know, even though you got the answer quicker than your person that was writing on the board. Mr. Wallace, you piece of shit. So anyways, good, didn't hear the word. So anyways, so that type of thing actually exists. Like my personal story with math was very interesting. I was in algebra class in, I don't know, probably 10th grade, I think it was. Who knows what it was. Could have been 9th grade. Anyways, so he kept writing things on the board, and he would accidentally make a mistake. So I wasn't writing anything down, but I loved math. It was a deal. So I said, excuse me, Mr. Wallace. Yes, Mr. Herms. Yeah, it's this actually equals this, or this actually equals that. Oh, fix it, right? This happened about 5-6 times within a 2-week period. Next thing you know, I'm being switched classes. I'm like, cool, they're upgrading me, right? Because I know this stuff, right? I got all the answers on all the tests. I don't even need to do homework to know this stuff. I was downgraded to basic math because I was punished. I was punished for speaking up, and I wasn't doing it their way. Basic math, same thing. I got straight A's on all my tests, so I said I refuse. I was a rebel. I said I refuse to do any homework. Why would I do homework and I told myself, if I get 100%, do I have to do any homework? Yes. I go, that's BS, right? You're not breeding somebody to be the best they can be. You're holding them down to mean that they're less than, right? Their control, suppressing you, is the lesson that I'm learning. So what I'm learning is, oh, crap, let me just do it. So is that the best way to create an inventor or keep somebody creative or somebody that can really give back? It's the worst way. So what happened is I got kicked out of that class. They put me in consumer math. At least I learned how to write a check, right? I didn't know that at the time, so that was kind of cool. The teacher was very nice. I remember she would tell stories because her son played for the San Diego Chargers, I think a lineman or something. Tell stories all the time. Anyways, long story short, and this is why this is important, is I refused to do any of the homework. I got straight A's on all the tests, 100%. And at the end of the year, I got my grade, and it was a C+. Why on earth would I get a C+? I'm like, whatever, grades don't matter to me at the time. I wasn't thinking of college or anything like that. I go, whatever. So I just took it. The next semester, I got a phone call, or next year, I got a phone call. And she says, I want you to be my teacher's assistant. Why would you do that, right? I got a horrible grade in your class. She goes, oh, because you know this stuff like the back of your hand. Like, I needed extra credit. I'm like, cool, this is going to be an easy pass. So the first day, she has me hands out these contracts to everybody in the class that say, if you don't do 80% of your homework, you will fail, sign it. And when all the moaning started, she goes, oh, just thank that guy in the back corner right there for that. Right? It backfired on her because everybody got straight A's because I was the one that's checking off. Right? And at the end of the year, she knew what I did, and she was kind of cool, though. She's like, all right, kudos. You know what I mean? She didn't get mad at me. She gave me my passing grade and all that. So the reason why those stories are important is because the structure is built to suppress us, not build us up. So then we're going to go into, and I haven't forgot you, I promise. And then we're going to go into big pharma, right? We need to poison everybody. We poison them, we suppress them again. And it financially helps us again because it perpetuates. You're in the medical system, you buy a drug, now you have to have another drug because of side effects, so on and so forth. So we know the vicious circle, right? So the Rockefeller realm we live in is literally to keep us down. That's what it's for. And they will pick and choose who they want to elevate. Very important. Did you have a question?
I have 2 questions.
Cool. And before you speak, I want to say something about you. I really appreciate this. For people at home, this young lady is such a patriot. How do I know that? She brought her baby here because it's so important for her to hear the message, which is great. It's awesome. And possibly maybe teach us. We're going to find out in a moment.
So, like I was saying, I have 2 questions. My first question is, what is meet.com or the...
Meetup.
Yeah, what is that?
Meetup.com is, and I'm not affiliated with it at all. I stumbled on meetup.com because I wanted to get the word out for our events, right? And they actually have a section that says movements and politics. And to my surprise, they had a lot of conservative stuff in virtually every city except Sacramento. I'm just saying, right? Yeah, you did. You told me. You're like, it didn't make sense, right? But the good news is there's a way that you can use it, and you can create your own groups on Meetup, and I believe it's free too. So go on there and create your own group on there. Get the word out, because there's other people probably looking for things just like you. So it's meetup.com. We're not affiliated with that, but we're doing something that may correlate later that we'll explain.
And my second question is for the group in general. How many of you guys are actually in town that want to meet up more often? Can we raise hands? You guys meet up every week? I think, okay. So I'm not sure if you guys have been to one of the Unity tours, but I was here at the last one when they had the mystery machine, and I did talk a bit afterwards. My name is Maudie Cotton. I run WinFam on Telegram.
I remember you.
Yeah,
Awesome.
exactly. I run the company. It's called Win Financial and Asset Member Institute. Now, we're an actual church. We've been incorporated, and I'm looking for more people who are interested in meeting, because now that I'm actually a legal church, we can get funding and do things for our members in our community. So I left my cards over there on the table, and I would like to start meeting with other people so that way we can actually get funded by the government and do things for our community. So I would love to hear more from you guys.
In addition to that, guys, so we're going to add on to that. I would recommend anybody that wants to start connecting. Many of us feel like we're on an island, true, right? Start connecting. At the end of this, you should really start mingling. And this is where we definitely have no ego here. One of the best things that we hear at our meetings throughout, how many, we're almost at 100 now, I think. We're over 90, yeah? Over 90 stops. That people said the best thing that they got out of this is they met somebody and they connected with somebody in their area. And it makes you feel like, I'm not on an island. And we have so many patriot groups that we're so happy to say, because of the Screw Big Gov family, right? Because that's my platform, Screw Big Gov. Because of the Screw Big Gov family, there's so many patriot groups that literally have sprouted out of that all around the country, because 2 people met each other and became 4 and 8 and 10. There's like dozen, and it's amazing. So very important, I would say, you guys connect at the end and just kind of, it's a good result. Yes?
So we used to do like the protests in 2020 at the Capitol, and it wasn't about the protest, it was about the networking.
Yes.
We met thousands upon thousands of people that we have made really good connections with. Oh,
So they can hear it back up.
back home. Oh, yeah, so in 2020, we used to do protests, but it wasn't about the protests, it was about the networking.
Exactly,
So.
which is great. And let me speak to that. Was that it for you? Thank you very much. So let's get into protests real quick, because there was a major psyop that was pulled on the American people that I do not think they're aware of. Is anybody at January 6th, J6? Okay. Anybody heard of January 6th? Anybody notice anybody think there was over 1 million people there? Anybody think there was 2 million people there? Well, I counted it myself. It took me a long time. Yeah, literally. I had a clicker. In fact, the clicker only went up to 9,999, so I had several clickers with me until I filled them all up. But yeah, I was at J6 also, right? Bruce was at J6. Many of us were. Andrew was at J6. So the reason why I'm saying what you've seen is you saw multiple psyops happen at January 6th. And I'm now it took me, that's what, almost 4 years ago. And it's taken me this long to convince people that one of the largest psyops was the arresting of the J6ers. Here's why. How many people realize that DC is a corporation? How many people realize that the United States is a corporation? How many understand that DC is a corporation within a corporation? Cool, so we get that, right? 4 years ago, people thought I was crazy. But now we've moved from conspiracy theorists to conspiracy factualists. So that's awesome. So here's the deal. What happened is, out of 2 million people, less than 2,000 were arrested. Okay. Why is this important? They've convinced us, as we the people, do not go out and protest because your ass is going to get arrested. There's 2 problems with that. One is that's less than 0.1%. That's 1 out of 1,000. Okay? So it wasn't as big of a deal as it was made out to be, but there was a lot of focus on it on purpose. I'm not saying from the Patriot media, I'm saying from the deep state mainstream media. We're like, oh, they arrested another J6er, those nasty J6ers, right? So why would they do that? If really, really they wanted to go after the J6ers, they could have arrested tens of thousands of them, but they didn't need to. There's a barometer that they were watching, right? And they do this all the time. They did it in Orange County in 2018. They play these games and tests, and then they watch and see how they do it. Right? So, but the reality is, bring a flyer with you and leave behind. You can print 3x5 cards for very inexpensive, super inexpensive. If anybody needs the links, I'll give you links to printers because I've thought this out. Go and you just leave a card, a go behind. I can even tell you how to get a phone number virtually for free that you can answer, but they're not going to be able to have your actual real phone number, because you don't want to get spammed or anything, but it's very cool. By the way, you can get text messages on it also. I'm going to show you what it is right here. Because I have to have an alternate phone number.
What do you have? Giving us a link? Because I use Google Voice.
Yeah, you can use Google Voice. Absolutely. Let's see.
Is it tied back to you, though?
Huh?
Is it tied back to you? Nope.
Yeah.
And does Google Voice have messaging on it too?
It has calls and messaging.
Cool.
You could record the phone calls too.
So the one I use is called Sideline, right? Sideline's cool because it's an app, and I get it's just like on a regular phone. It rings, I get the text message, everything. If Google Voice does the same thing, whatever. If you want to support Google. So anyways, use Sideline or Google, whatever. I mean, I still have a Gmail account, so I'm not faulting you, you know. I've got one foot in the system, one foot out. That's the reality. But the point is, if you really, really want to change things, get a little bit uncomfortable. Because the best growth that anybody could have is when they make themselves uncomfortable.
One of the things my husband tells me is you have to be uncomfortable to get comfortable.
Yep, absolutely. I use that all the time. It's beautiful. So, you need something, Andrew?
Just waiting for the next question.
Yeah, that's a good idea. So Brucey, why don't you come up here? Since I took all the oxygen out of the room. So does anybody have any questions, concern, and even let's have fun. You guys are a great crowd. Let's, if you have any esoteric, crazy topics that you just want to talk about, oh man, we could do that too. Because sometimes you just have to change the energy, be positive. Your vibration, we have to bring up our vibrations as high as possible to win this. You had a question? Can you get him on the mic real quick?
Not so much quick. Well,
I love your hat, by the way.
Thanks, buddy. I was invited here very last minute. I'm sorry I wasn't here earlier, but I'm glad I'm here now. I'm a media guy all my life, radio and television.
Very cool.
Now I have a podcast because I got kicked out of my own business for being too conservative, and I've been kicked off YouTube, and I've been kicked off just about everything.
What's your name?
Charlie Simon.
Oh, we actually, Sandy called us and said you would like to speak.
Then I would like to speak.
Yeah. See, she set you up, Charlie.
I guess so.
She literally put it on a tee for you. You got to come up now, brother.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yes.
Yes.
Charlie, come up and tell everybody. If you don't, yeah. This is Unity, Patriots, brother. If you're going to teach us something, we're here to learn.
Well, I don't know so much about teaching, but I do want to have a discussion with you.
Okay, I'm in
And
trouble
I do want
now.
to have you on my show.
Okay, now I'm really
I was
in
at
trouble.
the Take Our Border Back, by the way.
Oh, which one?
Down in Arizona. The
You
very
went.
first one,
All
yeah.
right, so you saw my crazy speeches,
Yeah, I
right?
was there. Yeah.
Good.
My frustration is, and I'm so glad to hear you speaking this way, because I'm realizing oftentimes the worst enemy to me is in my own party.
Yeah.
Now, I'll never quit the Republican Party as long as they keep pro-life, pro-traditional marriage in their platform.
Yep.
No one else has that in their platform.
I agree.
So I'm going to affiliate with that.
Sure.
But I'm also a delegate with the California State GOP.
Oh, ouch.
And
So you know what's going on.
those freaks and creeps.
Yep.
For the last convention, 3 conventions I've been to, they've
Yeah.
worked real hard to get those things taken out of our charter, which I have a real problem with.
Yeah, you should.
But I don't want to leave and I don't want to quit, and I'm always hammering about the primaries. Primaries and midterms.
It is.
And we suck.
That's right.
Only about 40% of those who claim to be Christian are even registered to vote. Just the Christian vote alone could turn this whole state around.
That's right.
Just the Christians alone could turn this whole state around.
And 40 million aren't registered. We saw that movie yesterday, God's Not Real, and it said
Oh.
40 million Christians are not out voting.
This is insane.
40 million is a lot.
The Father blessed us with a nation where we actually have a voice for the first time in the history of the world, that we have input. And they're all sitting back going, well, God's will be done. I'm not going to vote because I don't want to vote against God. I've heard Christians say that.
Oh, I'm so
By
glad
not
you're
voting,
bringing
you
this up.
are voting against God.
Yes.
You're allowing horrible, evil people to be put in tremendous positions of power because you didn't want to vote.
You don't know
because
how
you didn't want to vote against
happy
God.
I am you're saying this.
Brother, I'm the only one in the media. I'll
this
start
is
talking about this way with other conservative
Love it,
podcasters
love it.
and so on, and their eyes glaze over. Politicians stop talking.
That's right. Can
It's crazy.
can I tell you how we got there? Everybody would be pretty surprised. It was intentional.
Media.
Oh no. Listen to this. This is amazing, but we can fix it because when we know we can fix it. Have you ever heard of Matthew 5:5? The meek shall inherit the earth. Through the churches, we have been trained that meek means docile, weak, people that don't speak up, just chill back and we're going to inherit the earth. Okay. Study the origin of meek. Don't take my word for it. Study the origins of meek. Meek, I can even tell you there's a horse called Prowse that was considered meek. It's a Turkish horse, and it was the strongest protector of all the other horses. Jesus called himself meek. You think that guy was the meek that we learned, the one flipping over tables, right? Moses, who walked 40 years through the desert, was called meek by everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Was that meek walking 40 years through the desert? No. But the churches, not the religion, not the Bible, the churches have manipulated us to be docile. Meek is somebody that stands for somebody that can't stand for themselves. Meek is the strongest voice in the room, like your powerful voice. That is what meek is. But we've been conditioned intentionally to do the opposite. So what we have to do is they need to get back to the Word and away from the church telling them the Word.
Oh, amen.
Right?
Amen. Denominations are the devil's greatest tool.
There's only
against Christ's
40,000
church.
of them.
Unbelievable.
It's crazy,
Yeah,
right? So that's very important for us to know the origins of how they flipped it on its head.
Well, what about 501c3?
Well, there you go. It's a
I
great.
mean, that goes back to government.
That's
doesn't it?
right, because
and it has silenced so many pastors, weak-ass pastors.
Weak-ass pastors.
Because they're afraid of losing their tax-exempt status.
Of course.
And as my pastor once said, take it away.
Yeah.
Fine, we'll start paying taxes, but I'm not going to stop. And I'm going,
That's
thank God for him. Why aren't there more? It's the 501c3. That really did that. This is going back to Johnson.
No, totally agree.
But my question is, my frustration is, I can't get my own Republicans to leave frickin' YouTube. I can't get them to leave Facebook.
I know.
They keep sticking with the thing that they, well, I'm comfortable with it. Well, it's all I know. Well, on YouTube, I don't know, if you all watch any conservative podcasters on YouTube, fantastic. But they have to temper their language. And I don't change the English language to make anybody happy. So I keep getting kicked off YouTube. I keep getting kicked off where the money is. But see, they're going for where the money is. I take my own conservative podcasters to task and broadcasters because they're tempering their language. And they use little things like the jab and the poke and the this and the that. And they're using all their little code words. I hate that.
That's right.
And I won't do it. But they'll keep doing it as long as we keep watching them. And there are some who have said, forget Russell Brand is one of them. Forget it. Forget it. Don't need him. I'll find somewhere. And he's gone over to Rumble. So have many others. Josh Fulfer from Oreo Express. I love that guy. If you've never watched him, you know him.
Yeah.
He's down at the border all the time.
And I'm on Rumble. That's where I am.
Good. Thank God for that.
That's right.
They suck at their platform, though. It's not good. It's not user-friendly. And they're not improving it.
Well, remember,
and they don't pay.
Here was the downfall from Rumble is when they went on NASDAQ because now it's a controlled corporation. As soon as they went on NASDAQ, I'm like, uh-oh.
But even if
But
they
it's
were doing it right,
a lot better than YouTube.
even if we're doing it right, we're not leaving anyway. We're not.
Right.
We're not going to Rumble. It's been torturous just to get new subscribers, just to get people to actually go over there and check it out.
That's right.
Oh, I don't know. I'm already on so many things. And like somebody today was telling me when they were introducing me, they said, this is a local podcast. And he goes, there's so many. I just get in a day. And I go, yeah, but there's only 2 local.
That's right.
Are you going to support local?
I have a question for you. Are you from Rockland?
Loomis.
Do you know Dr. Bell?
Bell?
Yeah, you must not know. Okay.
Doesn't ring a bell.
That was good.
Doesn't ring a doctor.
That was good.
He hangs up, one of his clients is a podcaster, and I thought you might have been him.
No. I wouldn't go to any doctor that would have me as a patient. But
He's a chiropractor.
he's a chiropractor? Okay, good. But that's my question. How can we get our own fellow conservatives? Because they're not getting good, as you know.
No,
Fox,
okay.
they're not getting their information they need from Fox, are
so-
they?
no,
OAN has been deplatformed.
I have the answer.
Okay.
You're going to get a lot of pushback at first, but you're going to get some buy-in. Does anybody in here still watch Fox News? No. Okay. Okay, here we go. So there's 2 things on Fox News that should drive people away from Fox News. Okay. Number 1, network to call, but
Arizona, they called Arizona for.
with less than 30% of the voting.
That's right.
I have had this conversation with conservatives and Republicans. That alone, they okay, you're right. That's what happened. They stopped watching Fox News that day. That's a huge tool for you. If you want to prove that they are, The other one, which really upsets them, I'm going to go off. You guys know who I'm talking about on Fox News. CIA operative Sean Hannity. Okay? And he's
If I hear him one more say Biden is a nice guy, I
Right.
swear I'm going to drive.
Well,
to
the good
wherever he's
news is
broadcasting.
Bruce just showed me giving a little secret handshake to your governor Newsom on a video today. Bruce might be able to show it to you guys.
Did he really?
Yeah, and it's sick. In fact, you can even play it up here if you can get a chance to. I don't know. What's that? Well, okay, so the question is for the audience at home.
And that New York connection.
Why does Trump still go on Sean Hannity's show? Okay, it's great publicity for Trump. It's a no-lose situation. So Sean Hannity and Fox News is called controlled opposition. We can use controlled opposition to our advantage. The key is when they do the flip, which they always do, you don't get sucked in. That's the problem. But we can use them to our advantage because what Fox News did a long time ago is they grabbed market share. If you guys want to know what controlled opposition is, it's capturing market share. How did they did this? Now let's be honest. Did anybody used to watch Fox News?
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
Okay.
Tucker Carlson, Steve Hilton,
Yep. So
Dan
I
Bongino.
I did also. So what happened is the way controlled opposition works is it's all about market share. So they told me and you everything you wanted to hear, right? Yeah. So what they did is that kept you from watching alternate sources that were telling you the whole truth, not 90% of the truth. See how that works? Yeah. It's really ingenious, actually. So they give you just so much, and also they were the king of the 24-hour news cycle. Yeah. So you could always go on Fox News and get 90% of the truth, which you thought was 100% of the truth. Yeah. See how that works? So they sucked us all in, and it was genius. Remember, the opposition is very intelligent. Let's not call them dummies because they're not. Very smart. So they grab everybody, but then they throw little seeds out like Sean Hannity is don't boycott because that's disrespectful.
Oh, I hate when he says that. And don't forget
that he plays, right? Oh, well, it doesn't matter, right? Conservatives don't protest, right? This is the games that they do. So what happens is they capture you. And then when you're like, oh, President Trump's going to win. And we at Fox News call Arizona for Biden your new president of the United States. Why? Because by the way, they feed off of that fear and they feed off of that rejection and everything else. So we have to be very careful. You can use them to your advantage, but those are the two things I really talk about conservatives. And when you point it out in a certain way, show them how he's a CIA operative. He wears a CIA pin, by the way. Did anybody know how proud he is of his little CIA pin? Does anybody think the clowns in America, CIA, is a benevolent entity right now? No. Okay. Many people, many Republicans, straight up Republicans, that my wife would call drowsy, they're not fully awake, right? They know the CIA is bad. So he asked them, say, remember questions, they always answer it truthfully in their head, but they may not answer it to your face out of embarrassment. You just say, why does Sean Hannity wear a CIA pin? And he's so proud of it. And they're going to go, oh, right?
most of us don't know that is a CIA pin.
Oh, no, he tells it. He's so proud of it. He goes all down. Look at my CIA
I
pin.
quit watching them when
Yeah,
they
it's crazy, right? Yes, sir. Yeah, who knows what happened, right? But he said before, I heard him, said a friend of his in the CIA that was ex-Secret Service gave it to him too. So he could have different stories for all I know, right? The point is that we need to call out the evil as it is, but we have techniques that we can use for sure. So for the Republicans, 90% of the straight Republicans that aren't fully awake, they're sucking on the teat of Fox News. I can tell you that. They are. That's a great way to get them off and go, can I show you some alternate sources? You know what I mean? Can we really have a discussion about this? Because I think you're being misled by something, and you can say something that I used to trust. You can say the same thing about the churches. I think you may be driven in a certain direction on something that I used to hold dear and used to trust. That type of conversation is very powerful to open their minds up, right? because they're like, okay, well, he used to trust it, which means we were on the same page at one time. So you're not truth barfing, you're not hitting them in the face with it, you're kind of empathizing with them at the same time. Those are just techniques. I think you're asking me how I would do it. And I, believe me,
I just want to get them over to Rumble.
Right. Well, yeah. But how do I get here? Because I failed so many times, right? We have to be willing to fail forward. And yeah, I got over Rumble because I had to, because I just keep getting kicked off of YouTube.
Right.
Somehow I have a platform on YouTube that has 14,000 people by accident, because I happen to have it for like designing in construction. It just happened to be up there. So when my account got deleted, my larger account, people matriculated over to that one.
Oh, that's funny.
So now I use it for advertising to send them to Rumble.
There you go.
Right? So you got to use their tools against them. Who knows the Bible? Probably better than I do. People in here know the Bible. You know the Bible, right? Is there not something in there that says the weapons that will be used against them? What is that? What does it say? Wow. What's the actual, say the message? Weapons formed against us shall what?
Shall prosper. It shall not prosper.
Shall not prosper,
Right.
and will be used against them. Correct? So here's the deal. Their biggest weapon over the last 30 years has been the internet. What weapon is taking them down right now? You should be happy about that. We're winning. Check this out. Show this again, guys. This is the most awesome person.
Governor Hairdo.
Yeah, that's Governor Newsom. Well, because his hair is painted gray. Who's that?
Sean Hannity.
Watch this. Hey, bud. How you doing? I have no idea. Do you know the age? I don't know. And looking at the hair, it has to be pretty old. I mean, pretty new, right?
Well, he colors. Newsom colors. That's why I think this is just some kind of lighting thing there.
Could be.
He doesn't look like that.
Isn't that interesting, though? Yes.
Has anybody in the room heard that Jennifer Newsom's family presented the fundraiser for Donald Trump? President Trump, just on the 13th.
Yeah, down in SoCal. That was just yesterday.
Friday.
You were there?
We actually got to see the motorcade.
No, did you?
After the fundraiser.
And Tim Walz's family too. They also sponsored.
Tim on Tim.
Yeah.
Do you want to cover anything else?
Say it again. Oh, no. I mean, this is your time. I wasn't expecting to.
No, it's We the People time. It's not my time.
Oh, okay, I got
Yeah,
you.
if you have something else you want to cover, let's do it for sure.
Um,
Come on, Charlie, bring it.
I'll share with you my experience when I was with Take Our Borders Back.
Watch how mean I am.
When I was with Take Our Borders Back, started down in SoCal, right there at the border, and then we caravanned or convoyed over to Yuma, Arizona. And that was my first experience as a broadcaster. I've been a broadcaster all my life. I'm all ready to go live. I'm going to do like my buddy Josh does, and I'm going to go live, and I'm going to carry all the public speakers, so everyone will be able to get to see it all. And I'm all set up through StreamYard, and I'm getting the 5, 4, 3, 2. It all went away. I was like, what just happened? I have a strong signal. What's going on? So I set it all up again. Things started. So now I'm freaking, dagnabbit, I'm missing the beginning. And I get it all set up. 5, 4, 3. It all goes away. Like, what the hell's going on here? That was in California. Then I'm trying to go live when we're doing the convoy all the way over. So then I revert to videoing it. And then whatever hotel I was in that night, I'd Wi-Fi and then upload it. But I couldn't go live. And I'm like, something's happening, because I haven't had anything like this happen before. And get to Arizona, same thing. I wanted to get you guys all live. Kept happening. And this is ridiculous. I'm at an IHOP that night and talking to the waiter, and he sees my stuff, Trump stuff, and he goes, "Oh, you're here with the convoy?" But yeah. He goes, "Oh, that's great, that's great. Hey, I hope you do well. Have you been able to get a signal out?" What are you saying? What do you mean, am I able to get a signal out? No. How'd you know that? It's happening to all of us. Any of us that are trying to report on this or let everybody else know what's going on, it's happening to all of us who live here.
Yep.
That's freaky. So that night, I'm watching through Wi-Fi at the hotel, Josh Fulfer, Oreo Express. He's live right there at the border at one of the holes in the wall. He's showing the illegals coming up, hunkering down behind bushes, trying to hide their faces. He's showing the Border Patrol coming in their unmarked vans. One of the Border Patrol agents 3 times said, "Don't worry, we're going to have you home tonight." Got it on mic and camera. "Going to have you home tonight?" Well, you turning around, sending them back? What do you mean you're going to have them home tonight? What's home? Then one of the other Border Patrol agents is shining a super bright spotlight right at his camera, right at Josh's camera, trying to block his shot. Mm-hmm. And then another one comes up, careful to keep his face off camera. He's off the side, but you see him coming up, and you can still hear him. And he's asking Josh, "How do you have a signal?" And Josh said, "I'm on Starlink, Elon Musk."
Yes. Good job.
It was awesome. I'm watching this all and going, "You son of a bitch." Again, I love this guy. I got to make more money through frickin' Rumble so I can get the Starlink set up. All the Border Patrol agents said was, "Oh," turned around and walked back.
Yeah.
Now they're trying to block that as we're seeing what's happening with Brazil and all these other countries that are blocking X, and now they're trying to block Starlink. Yeah, but the thing is, the frustration with being part of the alternative media now, which I've been in. I work for ABC, CBS, I work for all the big pigs. And I know their tricks, I know what they do, and I used to be one of them. And I know what they do. And I don't see a light at the end of the tunnel right now. And it's really getting hard and disheartening until I remember, well, the Lord is my strength, and Jesus Christ, through all things through him, are possible. I gotta remember that. But trying to encourage and trying to let my fellow conservatives know what's going on has been really frustrating when they don't even come over. Mm-hmm. Yeah. They're still sticking with YouTube. They're still sticking with Facebook. They're not even exploring anything else, all these other things out there. Well, I don't want to. It's too much trouble, and it's this, that. Oh, I have to sign up for something else.
Remember another password?
Yeah, they don't want to do that, but yet they go to I don't know, the county fair, and you can win this. Just give us all your pertinent information. And then you're on an email list, and you're getting spam calls for years, and but yet they don't want to sign up for Rumble.
Right.
And that's frustrating. It is data overload
Death of it.
until we focus
I know. But let me just
on where we're really getting.
Let me put my 2 cents worth in real quick. We have to remember, truly, this is a spiritual journey, because this is a spiritual war. And so within all of that, there are so many things that we are learning as a species. And there are so many truths that have to come forward that have not come forward, touching the children at all. They're keeping that so well hidden, it's disgusting, you know? So we have to know that we're like the Calistoga wagons, right? They left the ruts. They were the first wagons from the east to the west coast, and we are that. And the next 2 years are going to be very heavy. And this also goes, in my opinion, from what I've learned and studied, this also is astrologically timed. This is divine timing. And I know I sound like I am on a rant. I know I feel so passionate about this, you know.
I wish you would have had a mic.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
It's too late. No, I think it's too late.
I don't need a
yeah.
mic.
Well, for people.
You got tens of thousands watching there. It's all right. Maybe they got it. But yeah.
So anyway.
It's a whole nother level. I agree.
Yeah, we just can't forget that the next 2 years are going to be hard, and that we have to still keep that, be in the middle of the road, try to be not either one way or the other. You must stay midline to keep your compass, right? And it is going to be hard. In the next 2 years, I think going astrologically. It's gonna be very difficult. I don't think we're gonna truly see something where, till 2030, like we can say, we know where we've been. So
Well, I think it's important for people to understand, not hope for 2030 we'll figure everything out, but for people to understand it is a long journey.
Yes.
And if we understand that the journey is going to be a lot easier than if we hope it's going to be done on November 5th, right? Let's give Charlie a hand. Thank you, Charlie.
All right, I'll talk to you
Appreciate it.
afterwards.
He'll take your mic right back there.
Oh, I'm sorry. My name is Charlie Simons, Charlie, because my name's Charles Lee. Simons, one M with an S on the end. And I'm on Rumble at Do Not Talk. Rumble.com/Do Not Talk.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie. So, Charlie touched on a win, right? When Josh was at the border using Starlink, right? Who created Starlink? Well, who do they say created Starlink? Elon Musk, right? Elon 2.0. But regardless of that, who owns a platform called X? So there's a clue there, right? The messages are pouring out super strong on X right now. And Republicans and conservatives are willing to go on what they formerly know as Twitter. So that's a great place to get the message out. Now, sometimes, Charlie, we know it well, Bruce and I know it well, sometimes you're too far ahead of the narrative. You're going to get very frustrated that your message isn't getting out there. You're just too far ahead. That's all it is. That's all. There's things that Bruce and I have been talking about, and Robert online. Robert right now is nodding his head for years, and now they're just now coming out, right? Under Elon Musk, I lost my platform on X. As soon as I brought up the Khazarian Mafia, they deleted my platform.
Wow, what?
Yep.
You can't talk
Yep.
about that.
I haven't tried it again, right? Because now I had a huge platform. And now, then it was, and it's very similar to my YouTube. They found, I guess I had a personal Twitter for some reason, I don't know why, and then people started to matriculate over that. Yeah. Well, just say it. I don't know what the hell that is.
We're good. 5-minute drill.
I-
But he's the boss.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
You wanted me to give him the time?
I did. So it's 5. You got 5. Okay, got it.
7:55.
Yeah, that means 50. Okay, cool. So you got that. So anyways, I would start sending people to X. They're doing a really, really great job right now. The word's getting out. I put out a video. Anybody here see the video with Assistant Police Chief Sean Taylor from Millersville, right? That video right now, that 1 minute and 7 second video. 107 second video. 500,000 views. And I believe that video and the ones that come are going to actually save his life. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go to my Rumble channel, screwbiggov.com, and watch the interview I did. I had the first interview with Sean. It's because I know him, because we were kind of working on the background with him and all across the United States. If you can get 0.1% of people stand up with a single message, not multiple messages, not truth barfing, not everybody in front of the Board of Supervisors reading Bible verses. It's not a bad thing to read Bible verses, but that's what they want. They're like, read away, right? Because you're not addressing the issues. 500 people with the exact same message. You win. We've seen it in Orange County, California. We've seen it all over the place. It's very, very important. So the reason why I always preach this 0.1% is so we don't feel it's as ominous as we really think it is. If we can galvanize 500 people with the same message in the city of Sacramento, you'll be blown away at what you can accomplish. So when you got 600 people on a ride, right? If you had the same 600 people all walk into a board with the identical message and sign up to speak, they cave. They cave because they can't take because bullies are what? They can't take the pressure in the face of adversity. So I would recommend we work on a smaller number. Sometimes we think so big, and it's really not that big. It's pretty simple. Just go with a small number. Brucey, I know we have to close out, so I'm going to let you take it away from here.
Okay.
And, we can talk, just mention, they were asking about the connection with the Freedom Action app also.
Okay.
So by the way,
Want
I'm
me
going
to
to
do
let, and whatever you want.
Okay.
I'm going to let Bruce close out. He's my brother. I took most of the oxygen out of the room today, but I know he also wanted to relax, so it was, should have worked
Good,
for you.
man. Teamwork